Okay, there's one thing I learned about singing with your mask on. Then you have to check to make sure your makeup's not all over the place afterwards. Good thing for Charlene. I wanted to share with you this joke that I heard. I'm taking it from Joel Osteen. The guy is pretty funny, I'm just saying. Okay, have any of you ever heard Joel Osteen? Okay. He has this way of making, taking our philosophy and, bringing it to this, but not in a unit. Anyway, okay, so there's the man, and his dog died. And you know how a man is with his dog, right? It's like, I think there's even a country song about if my girl was like my dog, I'd like her more, or something like that. So anyway, the man's dog dies, and he goes to his Baptist minister, and he says, I would like you to do a funeral for my dog. And the Baptist pastor, he says, I'm not going to do a funeral for your dog. And he goes, really? He was really upset. And he goes, what? I was going to donate $5,000. And he goes, let's just say your dog's a Baptist then. And I thought that kind of plays into our message this morning and our theme for this month. Our theme is pulled by vision. Pulled by vision. But our topic this morning is your commitment greater than your resistance? Is your commitment, in case you guys can't hear me, is your commitment greater than your resistance? Okay? And of course, I'm never going to come up here and blah, 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 something that I haven't first tried to practice and see, where am I at in integrity? Am I in integrity with the words that I'm saying? So, is your commitment greater than your resistance? And I had to think about what is our vision? What is my vision for my life? What is my why? What is your why, And in thinking about it for myself, I realized that my purpose is to be an example of what's possible. And many of you know my history, and some of you don't, but it was bleak, let's just say. It was bleak for the first 20-something years. And yet, I am an example of what's possible through the use of spiritual principles and practices. I am an example of what is possible through the transforming of my mind. And I'm an example of what's possible to continually stumble and fall down on your face and get back up. So that's my why. That's why I do it, is because if it worked for me, and I'm nothing, no better than anybody else. I'm not nothing. I'm no better than anyone else. I'm nothing more than anyone else. Then if I can be an example of what's possible, then I've done my work, right? I always think of Daniel Nahmon's song. Sorry. But his last song, you know that song, the last song? If this is my last song, And I think about I would be okay. If someone saw and not heard me preaching or whatever, if someone just saw me living my life outside in everyday life and they said, you know what, she really believed what she shared. She really walked her talk, I guess you could say. That would be good enough for me. That would be more than good enough for me. But our vision and mission and purpose in the Centers for Spiritual Living is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence through the use of community, connection, spiritual principles like wholeness, oneness. What's a spiritual principle that you know of? I don't have to be the one talking all the time. Does anybody know any spiritual principle? Love as a principle, yes, okay. Forgiveness is a spiritual principle, yes. Huh? Gratitude is a spiritual practice, but it's a principle. There's the principle, right? A principle is like what we call a law, right? it is what it is, and it doesn't care who you are. It's going to say yes to whatever you're putting into it. So that is a principle. And then a practice. What practices do you practice? Prayer? Huh? Kindness. Oh, yeah. What about you, Reverend Margie? What kind of spiritual practices do you practice? That, smiling. I know Tony Davis, she practices being a wisdom keeper and sharing that humbly. She took me out to lunch this week, so I said, I don't know if you know this, but how grateful I feel, or I think a lot of young people feel, I'm not that young, but younger, to have someone kind of say, hey, why don't you come with me and let's have lunch together? Because the wisdom that is in this community, the wisdom that is in this world from people who have been around for a while is priceless. In some cultures, the elders are the ones who raise the children, while the people who are about my age or so are the ones who are working and doing the grind, right? And so these children are raised up by people who then have learned to have patience, who have learned to, maybe not raise their voice so much, those kind of things. And so that's a commitment to being, I would say nowadays the lingo would be to breaking the cycle. But it's a commitment to seeing the growth of the next generation. And so there's 3 ideas that I want to share with you and about this commitment versus resistance, or is your commitment greater than your resistance? So we have many ideas that seem very beautiful in this philosophy. We have the idea that we believe that every person has a direct revelation of truth, that when you go within yourself, that when you commune with that indwelling presence, that divine intelligence, that truth speaks through you. So it doesn't have to come from this person up here or there or there or there or there. It can come and does come from within you. And you can believe that or not. It's up to you. You can take your pick. But that is a commitment, that's a commitment that the Center for Spiritual Living holds. We hold a commitment of recognizing that each and every person deserves to have food, shelter, the essentials in life. We believe that we can hear with ears that have compassion, that we can see each other with eyes that say, I'm seeing the inside of you, not just what's showing up right now. And yet our resistance to change and our resistance to the things that don't feel good to us, doesn't it just get under your skin? Who here has been resistant to anything within the past 48 hours? Okay. Is it in contrast to the things that you say you're committed to? Like, you don't have to raise your hand. That's okay. That's pretty personal. I'm going to say it probably is. Because I'll tell you the 2 things that are quite irrational. Religion and politics. Okay? They're emotional. They're irrational. Very, 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 very smart people believe in ... which is a judgment of mine, right? So I say, very smart people still believe in the creation story instead of realizing it's symbolic. Well, that's a judgment on my part, right? That they would, anyway. So there is a resistance that I have. And is my commitment to that, or is my commitment to saying that everybody is allowed to have their own truth? And everybody's on their own journey, and in their own time, they're all going to reveal what is right for them. So here's the 3 different aspects that I want the angles that I'm coming at. I want to read to you something that Dr. Ernest Holmes says. I love honesty. I love brutal honesty, even though I cry sometimes. I'd rather you lay it to me straight than give me the silent treatment. And I think he might have been this way too. So he says, one of the greatest stumbling blocks in a person's spiritual advancement is dishonesty. One of the greatest stumbling blocks in a person's spiritual development and advancement is dishonesty. The refusal to honestly face an idea. Whew. That hits hard in here. Face an idea if that idea happens to displease them. This comes in part from the human tendency to take the line of least resistance, whether it be in our physical endeavors or in our operation of our mind. Confronted with an idea that repudiates one we have held for so many years, we go far out of our way, entirely around the idea, to keep from being compelled to analyze the possibility of its truth. So let's just take this back to the beginning. One of the greatest stumbling blocks in a person's spiritual advancement is dishonesty, the refusal to be honest and face ideas that don't please us. I want to invite you to just close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. And in the secret, sacred place within you, within us, I'm going to invite you to do two things. First, I want to invite you to take a moment and feel into your body and feel, what have you been resisting out of not wanting to look at it, out of holding strong to your beliefs that might not be serving you any longer? What have you been resisting? And so instead of thinking of ourselves as dishonest, let's just keep inside here. What is our why? This is a big question, but it's not necessarily to be answered in this moment. What is your why for existing, for coming here, for being alive, for interacting with other human beings? Take a deep breath into that. What is my why? What is my why? You can open your eyes if you'd like. There's a true story. This is a man who, he said that he had all of these great ideas. His name, if you ever want to listen to his podcast, it's called Your World Within. Have any of you ever heard of him? No? Yeah, okay. Eddie Perini? No? Are you having a hard time hearing me, Sue? Yeah? Okay. So he does this podcast called Your World Within, and it's kind of like a stream of consciousness. And he goes, one of the ways that I've learned to grow and to be consistent with the things that I'm resistant against, like he's a marathon runner, right? So he says, you could run a marathon because you're running for your life, and it could be torture. Or you could run a marathon because that is your goal, and you want to accomplish that goal. And is it torture still? Maybe a little bit, but it's worth it. And so he talks about this experience he had where he used to take his box. He used to have a box kind of like this, probably not as pretty as mine, but he had this box, and he would keep it under his bed. And he said, I believe in all possibilities. I believe in all possibilities. And so every day he would come home from work and he would write down another thing that he wanted to do, right? He would write down things like, leave my job and start over. Build a better relationship with my sisters. Learn to play the piano really well. Let's see what else he said. He wanted to have a family and a business and run a marathon. And he writes all these things down, as I'm sure we all do at some point. You know, oh, that was a good idea. Oh, that was a good idea. He wanted to move to a little cottage where there was a stream, and he would grow his family there. And so what he would do is he would take all these, and when he would think of them, and it would come to him, he would write it down, and he'd put it in his box, and he would put it under his bed. And as an adult, he would pull it out every day, and he would read them, or he would talk to his family about them, and he would have all these great ideas and all this ambition inside of him. It was building and building and building. But there was no action. There was no action. It was just a bunch of ideas in a box, in a piece of papers on a shelf. And so eventually, he did this from like 18 to 30. Eventually, he's got a box so full it can't even close any longer. And he said, you know what? Obviously, I'm not getting anywhere with this. And so he takes the box, and he empties it out, and he throws out the papers, and he walks outside. And he starts living. Who would have thought, right? He starts living. He starts getting in life. He starts taking piano lessons. He starts communicating with people, just talking with strangers. Eventually, one thing leading to another, he develops this great relationship with his sisters because he's now learned how to communicate a little bit better. And he did quit his day job in Silicon Valley and moved out to the boonies and is this incredible podcaster, and it's uplifting and so amazing. And he says that there was this quote that I want to share with you that really inspired this for him. He said, no. Weren't that bad. He says, I didn't get the job. Oh, no. He says that there was a person who, his name was Matthew Marini, and he would say that our words do not create our life. And for a moment I was like, right? But he says our words and our thoughts don't create our life. Our words and our thoughts create the plan that we then have to go put into action. So action is this missing piece in all of us that we say we want to be committed, but we're resistant. So why don't we take some action? Why don't we take some action? Right? I think that no matter what, those of us who are just thinkers and we overanalyze and we think about things to death, and then we figure out that we're like half our life is gone and we haven't actually done anything because we've been thinking about it for so long, trying to make sure we're doing it the right way. There are those. And then I hope at some point, I know I have, at some point we realize that, you know what, we just got to get in it. We got to get in the mess of life. We got to get in the arena. We're going to stumble and fall. I tell you, I have scrapes and scars all over my body you'll never see because I dust them off and I get back up. And I have made more progress in my actions than in my sitting and dwelling and thinking and talking about it. How many of us are talking about how we want to be, how we want to experience life, instead of just going out and trying and failing and getting up and trying again? Denzel Washington, he had this incredible story. He says first thing he tries out for a play on Broadway, and he can't even sing, okay? But, you know, he's good looking and he's a good actor, so he's young and he thinks, I'm just gonna do the Temptations and, you know, I'll be fine. So he goes, and there's this person before him, and he's like a Pavarotti. And so he's like, oh boy, you know, I'm not gonna get this. And so he goes out on stage, and he's a young man, and he starts singing the song, it's just my imagination. And the guys, they're listening, they're not shutting him down or anything. And he's like, I must be doing pretty good. So he keeps on and gets louder and louder. And then they're like, okay, we'll call you back. And he goes, oh man, I blew it. I know, this is done. I'm done. Well, they call him back. But they call him back for the acting portion. So he does it and he acts and he feels so good about it. He doesn't get the role. He didn't get the role. Just in case you didn't hear that, he did not get the role. And so his idea is fail, 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 but don't give up. Fail, but don't give up. And guess what? I don't know how many years later it is now. The man's a very well-looking, mature man. But guess what? He just won a Tony for playing a role in a play where he did not have to sing at the same playhouse where all those years earlier, 25, 30 years earlier, he wasn't ready, right? But he never stopped. His commitment to his vision, to his why, was so much greater than the resistance. And two people inspired him, and I thought I'd share them with you. One was Reggie Jackson. Is anybody here a baseball fan? So Reggie Jackson strikes out like what? 2,600 times or something. Did you know that though? No. Well, I didn't know that. Okay, maybe you knew that. I didn't know that. Because what I know about him is that he's an incredible, home run hitter. He's like the top of the top, best of the best. That's what I hear about, right? Thomas Edison, I don't hear about the 1,000 failures. I hear about, hey, we're still paying to something called Edison, Because that 1,001 time, voila. And so what this means to me, what this says to me, and what I'm trying to share with you here is very simple and not easy. It is find a worthy cause within you, find a belief, a value to hold on to. Maybe it's coming here, maybe it's something about this place resonates with you, but you're not quite sure yet. And what I say is just keep coming back. And just keep practicing. Because like Denzel Washington says, he goes, there's this old saying that, you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut, right? I mean, I went from growing up in this philosophy to becoming a full-blown, alcoholic for a period of time, having severe depression, stage fright, anxiety, all of that, to I'm pretty good right now, I'm pretty good right now. So, because my why, my purpose, my thing that brings me to life every day is to just be a living example of what the science of mind philosophy can do for you in your life, for anyone in their life, just by being an example. And so that's what I want to leave you with. I want to leave you with this idea. I want you to cultivate. I invite you every morning, please, before you get out of bed, before you pick up this darn thing that I like to try to shove away somewhere, take a moment and go within. What does that mean? It means don't fall back asleep. Maybe sit up, or maybe do it while you're going to the bathroom. But close your eyes and say, I know that there is a light of, there is something greater than I am that lives within me, that I live within, obviously, because look at how smart, our cells and our brain and our heart and all that stuff is working without us even having to think about it, right? So there's something greater than us that we are within, that lives within us as well. So let's just call upon that. That's what I'm saying. Call upon that. Say, what is it that you desire from me today? So that I can be consistent in my commitment. So that I can release the resistance. So that I can live an honest life. With integrity. And a lot of failure. And so I just want to pray right now. I'm feeling that spirit of life, feeling, God, it feels so good to be here with you guys, with the divine. I just know, I recognize that there is only one life. There is a heartbeat that is beating through each and every one of us. There is a stumbling block, and that is called growth. And there is that which is called the divine that picks us back up by means of each and every one of us. And so I speak my word of spiritual authority and power, standing in the presence of the mighty, mighty good that I call God. So many of the faces of God before me, and bestow upon me, as I bestow upon them, immense love, unconditional grace. And so I know that our commitment must be greater than our resistance, or we would not be here this morning. I know that we know somewhere deep within us that we are held high by the arms of that beloved, by the arms of a great and mighty good that is always calling, pushing, and pulling us forward. And so I say, yes, Spirit, yes, thank you. More, please, 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 more. More of this thing called life. Give it to me. I'm ready. We're ready. And so it is. Yeah.